Greek civilization. The Greek civilization was a powerhouse of innovation, laying the foundation of Western culture as we know it. Greece is an archipelago in the southeastern part of Europe, known as the birthplace of Western philosophy. Some of the major achievements of the Greeks include in-depth works in philosophy and mathematics, more than Colosseum and the Olympics. The Greek civilization has contributed much to the world, especially in the fields of science and technology. Alarm clock, one of the most utilized gadgets today that was invented by the ancient Greeks in the alarm clock. Although the alarm clock during the time did not resemble the present-day alarm clock, the purpose was just the same: to tell an individual when to stop or when to start. Ancient Greeks' alarm clocks used this complicated mechanism to time of the alarm. They made use of water, or sometimes small stone or sand that's dropped into drums which sounded the alarm. Plato was believed to have utilized an alarm clock to signal the start of his lecture. His version used for water vessel lined up vertically. The upper vessel supplied the water which dropped to the vessel below it, which was set to be filled in a given time. After it was full, water was siphoned off at a faster rate into the third vessel, which would cause the expulsion of contained air, creating a whistling noise. Afterwards, these vessels would empty towards the bottom vessel for storage and reuse. Alarm clock. The purpose of this alarm clock was to tell an individual when to start and when to stop. Usually, this alarm clock was used to signal the start and the end of a lecture, which made use of sand or water that dropped into drops that sounded the signal of the alarm. Watermills. Watermills were also considered as one of the most important contributions of the Greek civilization in the world. They are commonly used in agricultural processes like milling of grains, which was necessary form of a food processing during that time. Because milling was made possible by the use of watermills, the mass production of rice, cereal, flours, and the like became common. Watermills were considered better than mills powered by farm animals because they required less effort and time to operate, since the farmers did not have to raise animals. They only required access to rivers or flowing water, where a mechanism of a large well with small buckets of water attached to it could be installed. Mills. These watermills address the problem in mass production. The difference between the wheels of Sumerian and the watermill made by the Greek is that the wheel of Sumerian is manually operated, while the watermill of the Greek requires access to rivers or flowing water, which mills grain automatically in mass.
So now let's continue to the Roman civilization. The Roman Empire was perceived to be the strongest political and social entity in the West. It was considered to be the cradle of politics and governance during that period. Because the Roman Empire was so large, other civilizations looked up to it as their model in terms of legislation and codified law. So, it stated that the Roman Empire's political and social influence, stating that it was considered the strongest political entity in the West and the cradle of politics and governance during its time. This emphasized the Roman Empire's size and its rule as a model for other civilizations in terms of legislation and codified law. Newspaper. One of the major contributions of the Roman is the newspaper. Contained announcements of the Roman Empire to the people made before the invention of paper. These gazettes were engraved in metal or stone tablets and then publicly displayed. When paper was invented, it became easier for the Roman to publish matters that needed the attention of the Roman citizens. So it stated that before the invention of paper, news was conveyed through gazettes, which were engraved on metal or stone tablets and publicly displayed. The invention of paper made it easier to publish news that interested Roman citizens. Bound books or codex. With the invention of paper, it became easier for civilizations to write down everything that happened in their time. Record keeping was much easier since paper did not easily break, was lightweight, and did not occupy much space. According to sources, Julius Caesar started the tradition of stacking up papyrus to form pages of a book. So as you can see in the picture, this is the bound book or codex or back then. So as a result, civilizations become fond of record keeping, especially documenting historical events and newly legislated laws. And later on, they were able to provide covers to protect the papyrus. The covers were made of wax but were later on replaced by animal skins, which proved to be stronger and longer lasting. Roman architecture. Roman architecture is one of the most visual contributions of the ancient Roman Empire to the world. The Romans were also able to creatively redesign old architectural patterns to adapt to the new trends at that time. These were developed in the field of engineering, and architecture was supported by the Roman government, so they were able to implement major projects as large as churches like cathedrals, basilicas, aqueducts, coliseums, amphitheaters, and even residential houses. So as you can see in the picture, this is the Roman architecture's work. So it stated that Roman architecture is one of the most visual contributions of the ancient Roman Empire to the world. It highlights the Romans' ability to adapt old architectural patterns to new trends and their advancements in engineering and architecture, which allowed them to implement major projects like churches, cathedrals, basilicas, aqueducts, coliseums, amphitheaters, and even residential houses. Next is the Roman numerals. Since the Roman Empire was expanding, it had to deal with many nations to maintain its power. For that reason, the Romans devised their own number system specifically to address the need for a standard counting method that would meet their increasing communications and trade concerns. So, as you can see in the picture, so these are the this is the Roman numerals. So, although other number systems has already been established before the Roman numeral, these old systems could not keep up with the high calculation requirements due to the increasing rate of communication and trade among nations. So this is my first question. So what is the first newspaper that announced of the Roman Empire to the people? A. Hindustan, B. Times of India, C. Gazettes, D. Statements. So the answer is C. Gazettes. Next question. Roman architecture is one of the most visual contributions of the ancient Roman Empire to the world. True or false? So the answer is true. Next question. Gazettes are made up of A. Silver, B. Metals, C. Bronze, D. Nickel. The answer is letter B. Metal.
Chinese civilization. The Chinese civilization is considered to be the oldest civilization in Asia, also known as the Middle Kingdom. China is located on the far east of Asia. It was famous for its silk trade, though in its distance from the other civilization. So Chinese civilization, despite its less popular status among the early civilization, one cannot discredit the significant contributions of Chinese civilization to the world. The Chinese civilization is recognized as one of the oldest Asia because of its continuous cultural development in China dating back thousands of years. The Chinese history viewed as the center of the world, and this perception arose from their advanced civilization, rich culture, and self-sufficiency. Silk is connected Far East Asia to the world. It is naturally produced by silkworms. The Chinese were the ones who developed the technology to harvest the silk and process it to produce paper and clothing. The silk thread opened China to the outside world, making way for cultural, economics, and scientific exchange. It bridged the gap between the Western world and the Middle Kingdom. Silk production resulted in the creation of a product for trade. They are the pioneers in developing the technology to harvest silk and process it into fabrics. Tea production. Tea is a beverage produced by pouring hot or boiling water over crushed or shredded dry tea leaves. The tea production was developed when an unknown Chinese inventor created a machine that was able to shred tea leaves into strips. The machine was done using a wheel-based mechanism with sharp edges attached to a wooden or ceramic pot. Tea production. They believe that the first tea was drunk by a Chinese emperor. The tea production was developed when an unknown Chinese inventor created a machine that was able to shred tea leaves into strips. Tea leaves were steamed and compressed into bricks, etc. Could be easily stored and transported. This era also marked the beginning of tea widespread cultural integration. As the practice of tea drinking became more sophisticated and began to spread beyond China's border.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to introduce myself once again. My name is Vincent Rayoso. I'm 20 years old and I live in Ibalnak, Malang, Negros Oriental. Today, I'll be reporting my topic, which is the Great Wall of China and the gunpowder. So, the Great Wall of China. It is the longest man-made structure that human has ever designed or made in history. It was built from the 3rd century BC to the 17th century AD. So the Great Wall of China is said to be the most longest man-made structure that humans has ever designed or has been created by humans. And it was built from the 3rd century BC, which means BC before Christ, to the 17th century AD, which means the year of the Lord. The Great Wall was made with stone, bricks, wood, earth, and other materials. So during ancient civilizations, technology does not exist, yet the ancient civilizations still created this kind of structure by using these materials. The Great Wall is considered to be the largest man-made structure seen from the outer space, and the wall's construction put the nation among the most powerful civilization during ancient times. So, the Great Wall of China is considered to be the largest man-made structure that has been created by us humans, and because of this, it can be seen from the outer space. The structure was so massive and well built that it was said to have literally divided China from the rest of the world. Today, although some part of the sections are now in ruins or have disappeared completely, it is still one of the most remarkable structures in Earth. So as of now, the Great Wall of China or some part of the Great Wall of China are now in ruins or have disappeared completely. It is still one of the most remarkable structures here on Earth because it is created by us humans, and even though technology back then does not exist, the ancient civilization still created this kind of structure. I'll be continuing my report, which is the gunpowder. Gunpowder, it is one of the most fascinating inventions in China. While trying to discover a potion of immortality, Chinese alchemists accidentally invented a black powder that could actually generate large amount of heat and gas in an instant. So during ancient times, Chinese alchemists are trying to discover a potion of immortality or a potion of healing in order for them to prolong their life, but then they accidentally created a black powder that could generate large amount of heat and gas in an instant. Ironically, instead of prolonging life, gunpowder made warfare all over the world very different, affecting the way battles were fought. So, ironically, instead of prolonging their life, they've created a gunpowder that could destroy or kill and generate large amount of heat and gas in an instant. And it created warfare all over the world, and it affected the way battles were fought. On the other hand, gunpowder can also be used for signaling, and it is also used in fireworks to produce colorful smokes during celebrations of China. So, on the other hand, gunpowder is not just used to create destructions. It is also used for signaling, and gunpowder is also used in fireworks to produce colorful smokes during celebrations of China. So, not just in China, but also in other regions as well.
Hey everyone, my name is Rajan Salva and I will be reporting the topic Medieval Middle Ages. So the start of the Middle Ages was marked by massive inventions and migrations. Wars were prevalent during this time, as such great technology was needed in this field of weaponry, navigation, mass food and farm production, and health. The wars have resulted in population decline, but during the latter part of the period, there was significant rise of the population. Trade and commerce among nations increased, which resulted in demands for transportation, technology. Some of the most innovative minds came from this period. So there are three inventions and it is most popular at the time of Middle Ages. So first, the these three inventions a big role, have a crucial role at this time of Middle Ages. First inventions is printing press. So after the Chinese developed woodblock printing, Johann Gutenberg was able to invent the printing press, a more reliable way of printing using a cast type. He utilized wooden machines that extract juices from fruits, attached to them a metal impressions of letters, and pressed firmly the cast metal into a piece of paper, which then made an exact impression on paper. These general inventions soon evolved to be the mechanical printing press, which was eventually used all over the world. The printing press was invented to address the need for publishing books that would spread information to many people at a faster rate. This invention also made works accessible to individuals who could not even write. Next invention is microscope. Another invention in the Middle Ages is the microscope. Growing populations caused massive migrations and urbanization during the period. More and more people transferred to polluted and population urban areas, which resulted in more people getting sick and needing medical attention. To develop the proper medicines for illness, experts must understand the sickness through an inventions. This they needed a device that could magnify things invisible to the eye. Guided by the principles used for the inventions of eyeglasses in earlier years, Zacharias Janssen was able to develop the first compound microscope. With this device, people were able to observe organisms that were normally unseen by the naked eyes. The microscope was key in discovering new means in preventing and curing various illness. So the last invention is telescope. Since the Middle Ages was also known as the ages of exploration, the need for nautical inventions was high, considering the vast and empty oceans that separated lands. Ship captains needed to see far and wide for them to navigate or to avoid dangers at sea. The invention of telescope, an optical instrument that helped in the observation of remote objects, was a great help for navigation during this time. Together with the telescope, navigators during this time. The invention of the compass, oars, and rudders made sea easier and safer.
During the Middle Ages, development of weaponry technology is also core. That's why soldiers and all of the leaders that time, just to defend their territory and their motherland, they invented a new tools that is not good only for an offensive attack, but also a weapon that is good in close range hand-to-hand combat, like wearing of chainmail armor. Chainmail armor is a kind of a body armor used by soldiers to protect themselves from slashing blows and piercing weapons. Thank you. Since wars were widespread during the Middle Ages, great development in the weaponry technology also occurred. All sides must develop weaponry not only offensive tools but as defensive instruments. For open area battles, people developed crossbows and longbows so that they could attack the enemies as long rangers, keeping themselves safe with the protections of walls and fortresses.
Hi everyone, good day. So I am Mary J. Pardillo and I am the reporter of the Modern Times. During the 19th century onwards demanded that more goods be produced at a faster rate. People needed efficient means to transportation to trade more goods and cover a larger distance. Machines that required animals to operate must thus be upgraded. Faster and easier to communicate and compute should be developed to establish connections between and among nations. However, due to the massive industrialization, the modern times again face more complicated problems. Food processing and medicine pose some of the bigger challenges since health. So, the rapid growth of the world's population in the 19th century fueled a demand for more efficient production, faster transportation, improved communication, and advanced computation. Again, however, the rapid industrialization also brought new challenges, particularly in food processing and medicine. These are the problems or content on the 19th century. First, the patriotisation. As people were able to develop better means of production, food preservation and food safety became an issue. The challenge to keep manufactured food from deteriorating was greater for dairy products, especially milk, since they usually spoiled faster. These goods needed to consume immediately after production or they would cause illness like diphtheria, food poisoning, and typhoid fever. Transporting these products will take time. It will be impossible to trade them. I have a picture here. This is the processing and pasteurization. As people started making more food, especially milk, they realized it didn't last very long. Milk spoiled quickly, leading to illness like diphtheria and typhoid fever. The inability to transport and trade goods posed a significant challenge. Louis Pasteur, a French biologist, microbiologist, and chemist, found a way to solve the problem. He invented pasteurization, the process of heating dairy products to kill the harmful bacteria that allowed them to spoil faster. Through this process, milk could be stored and consumed for a longer period. It also prevented illness caused by harmful bacteria. This is Louis Pasteur, a renowned scientist that invented the pasteurization, where a process of heating dairy products to kill harmful bacteria. I have a question regarding of this topic. You can only choose one among these letters. This is the question. What was the primary reason why dairy products, especially milk, needed to be consumed quickly after production? A. The milk would lose its flavor and freshness. B. The milk would become difficult to digest. C. The milk could become contaminated with harmful bacteria. And D. The milk would separate into layers and become unusable. What is your answer? If your answer is letter C, then you are correct. Second, the petroleum refinery. At first, people used animal oils for generating light to their homes. Samuel M. Caird was able to invent kerosene by refining petroleum. At present, petroleum is widely used in powering automobiles, factories, and power plants, among others. This is Samuel M. Caird, who figured out how to make a bit better fuel called kerosene from oil. This illuminating oil made homes brighter and warmer. This invention led to a whole new industry, taking oil and turning it into fuel for cars, factories, and even the power that keeps our lights on. Telephone. The more people got connected by trade and exploration, they needed a way to easily maintain these connections and communicate with each other in real time. Important day-to-day decisions must be discussed and addressed at the fastest time possible. The development of the telephone by Alexander Graham Bell was one of the most important inventions at that time. As people traveled and traded more, they needed a way to talk to each other quickly. Governments also needed to stay in touch to make decisions. That's where Alexander Graham Bell's inventions of telephone, which led people to communicate by allowing them to talk across long distance. Another question. You can answer it whether it is true or false. This is the question. The telephone was invented to help people communicate with each other in real time. It is true or false? What do you think is the answer? If you answer true, then you are right. Calculators. Computing devices must also be easy to carry since they will be utilized on a day-to-day basis. The creation of modern calculators did not only pave the way to easier arithmetic calculations, but also resulted in the development of more complex processing machines like the computer. The invention of the calculator made math much simpler. This innovation not only simplified arithmetic but also laid the foundation for more sophisticated computing devices like computers. Last question. Modern calculators were designed to be portable because they were intended for everyday use. True or false? If you answered true again, then you are right.
Despite being considered a developing country, Philippines also contribute to the global advancement of science and technology. It is quite remarkable to note the ingenuity of people despite the lack in resources. The Philippines is known to be one of the most vulnerable countries in terms of natural disasters. Many of the discoveries and inventions made by the Filipinos were therefore built from ingenious materials or created to adapt the harsh tropical environment. Now let's take a look for some of the inventions coming from the Philippines. First one is the salamander amphibious tricycle. It was invented by Victor Lave and his team at H2O Technologies. As the name suggests, it is an amphibious tricycle, which means it can be both used for water and for to the land. And next has the potential to be utilized to travel island to island since it is adaptable, which of course one of its benefits. Then next is the salt lamp. One of the major needs in the Philippines as a developing country is electrification. Electricity powers various types of machines, including electric sources. In many rural areas in the country, activities would cease when it gets dark. It also becomes more dangerous to travel. Filipinos have resorted to using candles and kerosene lamps, but they carry certain risks as they are fire hazards. Solar power is also a welcome development, but like rechargeable batteries. The salt lamp was invented by Isa Mijeno, this lady. It utilizes salt water by the name itself, and it is a material that is abundant here in the Philippines. It is also sustainable alternative lighting lamp or salt. Then it is safer. Next one is the medical incubator. A common problem in the Philippines is the high mortality rate of newborn babies. One reason for this problem is in the 20th century was the lack of available incubators, especially in the far-flung rural areas due to lack of resources and electricity. Then, Dr. Faye Del Mundo, that was the time when Dr. Faye Del Mundo invented the medical incubator. It is made from indigenous and cheap materials, just like it is made of bamboo, as you can see at the picture. Made by placing a native laundry basket inside a bigger one, then hot bottles were inserted between the basket to provide warmth and a makeshift hood to allow oxygen circulation. It is used to maintain conditions suitable for a newborn baby. Then, another contribution of the inventor of medical incubator is the immunization and treatment of jaundice. And the other one is brat. Then the next one is mosquito ovicidal, or also known larvicidal trap system. Dengue, a mosquito-borne viral illness, is endemic to tropical and subtropical areas, including the, of course, Philippines. This virus is usually transmitted by Aedes aegypti mosquito, rampant during the rainy season. Uh, Insecticides were previously used to kill the species. However, recent study shows that insecticide resistance has involved in some mosquito populations. Likewise, using insecticide is harmful not only to humans but also to the environment. So, this invention was introduced last 2010 by DOST, and the collaboration of DOST and ITDI, and it is also known as OL trap. It is made of natural ingredients that are lethal to mosquitoes but fortunately safe for the humans and the ecology. It is made up of, here's the picture, it is made from black tumbler, a Leauanie strip, and larvicidal pellets made up of black pepper. This is the picture. Then, the last invention I'm gonna introduce this day is the e-jeepney. So, a major innovation that changed the transportation industry in the Philippines was the development of the jeepney. This iconic public utility vehicle was built using the military jeeps left by the Americans after World War II. The chassis of the body of the military jeep were extended to accommodate more load and passengers. So, the before the e-jeepney was invented, the model of the e-jeepney was called jeepney. It is built using the U.S. military jeeps after the Americans left the Philippines after World War II. It is extended to accommodate more load and passengers. And since the the jeepney was diesel-powered jeepney, it produces large quantities of black smoke, which of course harmful to the environment and the ecology. And thus, to counter these disadvantages, the e-jeepney was developed. The e-jeepney, from the name itself, E means electricity. It of course utilizes electricity, thus it is environmental friendly and it does not cause harm, it does not produce black smoke, and it does not contribute to the global warming of the Philippines. No, not just the Philippines but also to the whole world.